Welcome back to the channel, and as you guys might have seen in the last video, picked up this fairly clean E46 M3, and today we're gonna sort of go over the plans with it and go over some of the issues that I'm having with it right now, and doing a little bit of interior work. Nothing crazy, just gonna sort of clean up the carpets and then show you guys how you can restore the colors on the gauge needles. Now, this might sound a little bit weird, but my main like about these cars is the cool gauge cluster. I love that it has this light gray appearance with this offset of these orange gauge needles, and that's kind of an important thing for me. So I want to try to restore the look on that as much as I can. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick. If you do own an E46 M3 with a little bit of Sharpie marker, you can restore the color. This car, it seems like it was just baking in the sun all of its life, and it's just super sun faded in a lot of spots. So if you look at the headlights, I have new headlight covers come in for this. And then I got some halo rings, and then moving to the back, tail lights are in pretty bad condition. This emblem has to be replaced, and then there's a little bit of sun fade clear coat peeling on the back, and then I'm probably going to replace this piece. And all the window tint is kind of trashed on it. It's turning purple. And there's actually no window tint on the front windows, which is probably why the interior got so baked. So we're just gonna take it a little bit at a time. I did actually order all of the components to convert this car to manual. I have this really nice Cooler Works Pro shifter coming. It's a chassis mount shifter, and that's gonna allow me to not have to install the detent pins in the SMG transmission, and it allows you to find all the gates so that you can actually, the fact that it's self-centering shifter, it centers itself back to the neutral position in the center, and then it actually has defined gates for when you go to first and second, and then fifth and sixth, so you can kind of limit that so you're not like going over too much and extending the reach on that and not going to the gate on the transmission. So we're going to do all the swap. I got a pedal box from an E46. There's a little bit of wiring that I have to do. Probably not going to cover every single step in detail when I do it in the next week or two, because there's already a ton of videos on it, but just want to kind of show you the general process and what I've done with this car, and just kind of document as I go. This car is gonna be more of probably like a restoration rather than a true build. I kind of want to, you know, restore this back to its former glory and make sure it's all mechanically sound. Eventually after that, I'm actually gonna get an oil analysis done to see where we're at rod bearing wise, to see if they need to be done immediately or I can wait a little bit and enjoy the car. And then there is a little bit of Vanos noise going on, so I'm gonna have to address that probably sooner rather than later. I don't think anything was ever done with it. And then the subframe looks okay, and the roads out here are fairly smooth, so I should be able to get away with the subframe for a little while. But definitely the rod bearings and Vanos have to be addressed first after the manual swap. Right now, the actual SMG pump that actuates the clutch and shifting mechanism, it can shift about 1 to 3 shifts within probably like a couple of minutes, and then the pump just doesn't have enough pressure to actuate any of the shifting. So kind of pointless to drive it right now. And then there is a little bit of an overheating issue. I believe it's because of the clutch fan though. The actual clutch fan has like literally no resistance on it, but I do have a spare Spall fan, and I do have another clutch fan from an E36 which I think they're the same for E46, but I throw that in that car and see if it solves the cooling system issue. The previous owner did already replace the radiator, the hoses, the thermostat, the water pump, overflow tank since those crack. So we should be in pretty good shape. I think it's literally just the clutch fan. And the temperature only really creeps up when I'm kind of sitting in traffic, and then when I'm driving, when it has airflow, cools right back down to normal. So I think that's the issue. Hopefully it is, but yeah, just one little thing at a time. So two things I want to address in today's video is getting these carpets cleaned up. Someone had spilled a drink right in between there, which is not ideal. And then I think there's actually a spill on the driver's side as well. But overall, the interior is really not too bad, besides huge tear in the seat. I think I'm just gonna put a aftermarket driver's seat in there. And then coming around, let me show you the deal with the gauge cluster, what I was talking about. So the actual gauges themselves, I don't know if you can really see on camera, but the gauge little needles themselves, they're super sun faded, and I want to kind of just restore those with Sharpie marker. These clusters are actually pretty easy to pop out. There's just two little screws, and then the gauge cluster just comes right out. So we're gonna try to get that done. And then with the manual swap, I'm gonna have to code the cluster to get rid of this little gear position indicator. And then of course my new fancy tall shifter is gonna go right here. Should be pretty legit. One thing that kind of sucks though is this steering wheel I might have to replace when I do the actual swap, because I'm gonna have these paddles here still. So I'm gonna have paddles and a shifter. People are gonna be like, what the heck is going on here? And get super confused. So I might just swap to an aftermarket like OMP wheel or something fancy. So yeah, two screws on the top, pops right out, and then there's just two plugs on the back. But you can see how sun faded these dials are here. So we're gonna try to use a little bit of orange Sharpie and make those orange again. We're gonna take our Sharpie here, do a little painting. There it is, all back together. Not too bad. All right, carpet's cleaned up really well. Got that huge stain out that was right here. Someone spilled a drink. But how nasty this water is. Coming out of the machine. Oh man, that's black. And I literally just did the front seats. So gross. But yeah, we are dialed now. All right, so we're gonna go for a little drive. I just want to show you guys what these cars are like with the SMG transmission before I swap it. So it's very annoying to start. Actually, you have to make sure it's in neutral first. Takes about 10 minutes for it to kick over into neutral for whatever reason. Come on. Now, oh, there we go. So you see the 0 on the dash. Then start it. Now there's different shift severity modes, so you can actually turn the shifting speed up or down. And then I think if you hold down the traction control button, and then it actually gives you another shifting severity mode. Allows you to shift even faster. Let's see. I don't know why it says it's in reverse still, but oh yeah, there we go. All right, so there's a shifting speed on there. A little bit of a clunk from the transmission as it's shifting by itself. Hopefully this SMG pump doesn't die on me. Sometimes it likes to randomly go into neutral, which is pretty dangerous in traffic, which is why I haven't really driven this car yet. Let's see what we got. Cars drive very, very well. I can't wait to actually manually swap it and enjoy it. But the SMG, I mean, it's got its quirks, but I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. And then these cars actually rev up to 8,200 RPM, and which is kind of crazy for a big 3.2 liter 6-cylinder. Oh, I almost hit that bird right there. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys what these cars are like. This is one of my favorite cars, and I did own an SMG car, so I've driven one that was manual. It was a ZCP package, and that car was awesome. Yeah, the ZCP package car, I drove it in New York, and it had all the dine-in parts on it, all the rare like S2 parts. The dine-in S3 car actually came with a supercharger stock, which is pretty crazy. Got construction up here. But I'm actually planning on doing a little bit of a tune on this. Should add about like 30-40 horsepower actually. It's the Build Journal Spec B tune. And eventually it'd be cool to throw like a CSL airbox on this, kind of like Adam LZ did, but I don't know, it's a lot of money when you could just get a supercharger for maybe like another $1,000 and then make like 500 horsepower. So yeah, these cars are pretty awesome. There's a sport mode button, kind of sharpens up the throttle response a little bit. This car for 8,500 bucks is really not a bad car to start with. I could keep this for a bit and possibly flip it, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. These things handle really, really well too. These have all blown out rubber bushings right now, but once I fix all that, it should be even better. Pretty sure the car is actually in limp mode right now because of the transmission. But these cars pull pretty hard for what they are. 320-ish horsepower to the crank. I don't know what they make to the wheels, maybe like 290, 280. I think they got a good amount of power for what they are. I can't wait for that new shifter. A lot of people say that those shifters are really nice. Not a huge fan of the really tall shifters, but at least it gives you, you know, kind of a nice path from steering wheel to the shifter itself. You don't have to come down here and shift. So we'll see how that goes. My old car had one of these. It was weird. Every time I would go around a corner after I bought it, it just felt like the car was like actually drifting. It was not confidence inspiring. And I found out the rear control arm bushings were completely blown out. The rear control arms were just like, they had a mind of their own basically. Man, these birds need to get the heck out of the way. Yeah, it was super sketchy, and then I replaced those bushings with poly, and it just completely changed the handling of the car. That car actually had stock suspension on it, and I used to drive up Mount Lemmon all the time in Tucson. Pretty sure you've seen a video of me driving there with my buddies, but I used to drive that road all the time, and it's pretty nice. Felt like this car is down on power a little bit because it's so dang hot outside, but I feel pretty good. My old car was funny. I raced a Evo X, an Evo 10, and I'm pretty sure it was on like ethanol and stuff, and my old E46 M3 just gapped the hell out of the car. I was super surprised. I've actually been driving around for quite a bit now, and temperature gauge is staying right in the middle, so that's good. I think it's just mainly when you're at a stoplight, like I was saying before. I don't know. But yeah, overall, really doesn't need much. But like I said, I'm gonna get that oil analysis done to see where the rod bearings are at. It's good to get that Blackstone analysis, and it's like 30 bucks, I'm pretty sure, and it tells you, you know, how much copper and zinc, lead, all these different minerals are in your oil, and that'll kind of give you an indication of what parts are wearing, if any, what kind of like metal on metal contact is going on, where you get bits of the actual surface of like possibly pistons or like valve train or something in the oil, contaminants, and they can do an analysis on that at a lab to kind of tell you, you know, where you're at engine health wise. But since these cars have rod bearing issues, I want to see the copper contents in the oil to see if it's getting worn down to that copper layer on the rod bearings. So curious to see what that report looks like. But like I said, I got this car for so cheap, it doesn't really owe me anything, and I'm willing to do that rod bearing service just for the peace of mind. So I do want to be able to drive this car a little bit. It's definitely a fun car. There it is, the infamous cog light. Yep, the SMG pump is not happy. When I shift it like a lot or frequently or aggressively, that pump just doesn't hold the pressure it needs to be able to shift, and it actually slips the clutch a lot. It's almost like someone's riding the clutch. That's kind of what it feels like. Yep, there we go. Went into neutral. Oh, pop back into gear. All right. But yeah, you'll actually find a lot of these SMG cars have salvage title because they've been rear-ended, because these cars will randomly go into neutral, and you'll be on the highway or something unexpectedly. The car is going to slow down, and you can't get out of the traffic's way, and then you get rear-ended. So that's why a lot of these cars live short lives. So we're gonna fix that. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I know this is kind of a short random episode, kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to introduce you to the car. And I know in the last video I didn't really show it off that much, maybe like 5 minutes of the car. So give you a first drive impression, and then see where it goes from here. Thanks for watching.